Hello and welcome to episode 102 of Comics with Stevey D. And I have a neat show in store for you today. But before I get started, I want to give a shout out to a couple of comic people. One of them is Big B McFly, the comic guy, and his partner, the Bronze Age nerd. And these two guys have a channel where they talk about comics and stuff. I think it's called Best Coast Avengers, something like that. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. So a shout out to these two guys. They have claim sales too, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a little bit later in the video. But a shout out to these two guys. Alright, let's get started. This is one book I got from a claim sale. And it's Batman and Catwoman, #1 from 2021. Cover art by Jim Lee and Scott Williams. And it's one of 12. And Batman and Catwoman always had this complex relationship. So eventually they'll work things out, we hope. Without one of them going to jail or the other one going to the grave. Alright. My next book is kind of the star of the show. This is Captain Marvel #34 from 1974. Cover art by Jim Starlin and plot. This is the first appearance of Nitro, Robert Hunter. He could explode and reform himself. He blows up and destroys things around him. He turns into a sentient gas, and then he reconstitutes himself into the villainous so-and-so he is. This comic book came out when I was in 7th grade, and that's when I began collecting comic books, 7th and 8th grade, and they were 20 cents when they first came out, and they went up to a quarter. Okay? I collected comic books in 7th and 8th grade a little bit in the summertime between my freshman year, and then I stopped and didn't touch a comic book for 40 years. So then I went back into the hobby. But he is a villain that is responsible for basically starting the Civil War between Captain America and his side and Iron Man and his side, deciding if they wanted to be part of the Superhuman Registration Act, and with rules and stuff, and Cap didn't want to and Tony wanted to, and it caused a lot of trouble, and he's the man that started it. So I'm going to store him in, along with Civil War #1. So I have his first appearance, but there is a couple more things about this book that makes it a star. I bid on it at my comic shop and won for $10. First appearance. But that's not all. It has Jim Starlin's signature on the splash page. And that was in the notes on the auction. I couldn't believe I got it for 10. I was only going to bid 10. And luckily I won the bid. So I hardly ever bid on stuff. But I was happy to get that one. All right, moving on. True Believers, Mandrian, the Criminally Insane. And while I talk about that, it's #1 from 2020. The Mandrian's first appearance in Tales of Suspense, #50 and issue #56. Cover art by Jack Kirby and George Rousseau. So, what's interesting about this book, it shows how you can get a Tales of Suspense first appearance of the Mandarin for a few bucks compared to the small fortune it would cost. And I'll just show you a little interior art. The reprints from that day on this slick glossy paper, they always look real cool. It's like Marvel's Milestone. All right, I'm talking about the Mandarin. I got to show my Alex Ross Virgin cover. And that's a great depiction of the Mandarin and his rings. All right, can't talk about the Mandarin without talking about Iron Man. And what I have here, Invincible Iron Man number 14B from 2024. Cover art by Greg Heidenbrandt and Tom Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt's both of their last names. And it's a beautiful cover. Look at I think it's a painted cover. And the strokes, and it's not quite a virgin cover, but only has this little amount of trade dressing right in here. And so it's a beautiful book. All right, I'm perplexed over the next two books. I have to figure something out. Maybe some of the people that watch the video can help me out. This is Mockingbird, number 1, from 2016. It's 1 of 8. Cover art by Jolie Jones. And what's funny about this is they work for S.H.I.E.L.D. And all the people that work for S.H.I.E.L.D. get injured in all these battles they fight. So they have a med center, okay? So they report in to get their physicals and stuff. And you got Mockingbird and Black Widow, and if you look close, there's Hercules with an ice bag on his head. I think that's funny. And then another page when they go back to the clinic, Tony Stark's in there. But I'm wondering, how is Mockingbird alive? Because she got killed by Mephisto in West Coast Avengers 100. And she was helping her team get out of trouble. And they all got out except the Scarlet Witch. See her in this portal thing? And Bobby went back in and says, I can't leave a teammate. And so she gets blasted in the arms of Hawkeye. They get Wanda out, but she's just blasted, a fatal blow, and she passes. And the team looks on in horror because she saved their lives and died doing so. So how could she pass away in this issue and be back in the next one? And that West Coast Avengers was from 1993. So what happened between 1993 and 2016 that she came back to life? That's a strange question I have for everybody. All right, the next one is a cool book. It's Original Sin Annual, number 1, and it's from 2014, and it's entitled The Silent War of Woodrow McCord. Cover art by Julian Totino Tedesco. And I read this one right before I shot the video. He is a superhero before S.H.I.E.L.D. in the time of Tony Stark's father. And he dies in the beginning of the issue. And they throw him into a alien sun blast star furnace. Just getting rid of the bodies of the good guys that perished in the battle. And so they show this guy in the 20s and 30s doing his thing, and he fights a final battle, and he passes it on. He's like space. He wants to stop being defensive part of Earth and being offensive, chasing down the invading alien race. It's a cool cover. I really like it. And I like the fact that he was a hero I never heard of before, and I read the story and it was complete all in one issue. I like that a whole lot. Now going back to Big B McFly and the Bronze Age Nerd, I bought the first book, Catwoman and Batman, and this book from them. And this, I love lightning covers. Lightning covers have always fascinated me. So I added this one to my collection. This is the Dark Knight Returns 30th Anniversary Edition from 2016. It's a 4-issue miniseries that was originally printed in 1986. Written by Frank Miller, illustrated by Miller and Klaus Johnson. And this is like kind of like Old Man Logan, but Old Man Batman. You know, he's an old guy. He's been retired for 10 years. And Gotham's just going to hell in a handbasket. And he figures he has to come back. Even though he's an old dude. So there's a lot of good pinups in here. There's one of him there, and there's another one of him. Eventually, he battles Superman. I haven't read it. I've just thumbed through it. And it's on my reading list. And I'm a big Marvel fan, so Batman's my favorite DC character. And I'm always... There's a good one. And Robin's somebody else besides... the regular two Robins. Now it's a girl with orange hair. And it's got great artwork. Here's the one I was looking for. Here's the cool page. So I'll keep this by my easy chair where I sit and read the comic books in good light. And I've noticed I'm really squinting a lot, so I have to put my glasses on, and they're bifocals. So I've had bifocals for a long time, 10 years or so, but I always read without my glasses all the way up to recently. And I had my bifocals for the fine print, like on a Visine bottle, and you're trying to read that without anything, you know. But you can read them with my bifocals, so I'm trying to save my eyes a little bit, because I got a lot of books I got to read. I've read about half of what I own, and hopefully I'll be able to get through them all. I also want to give a shout out, before I wrap this video up, to my grandsons, Gabriel and Charlie, that helped me make episode 101 of Comics with Stevey D, and it was Gabe showing off his action figure collection and showing his comic books. So, for some reason, I put... I know I did it on purpose. I put Made for Kids on the YouTube video, so comments weren't, people were liking it, but they weren't being able to do comments. So if you want to do a comment for Gabriel and Charlie, go ahead and do it on this video. With that, happy comic book hunting to you all.